It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth. It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Maybe now it's working. Welcome everybody to our daily gun show. And I probably better double check that the audio is going through the right mic. Yeah, I think it is. Give me some feedback on the audio, if you would. So we go live on Friday evenings to wrap up what happened in the week for what the Second Amendment protects. I don't say guns because there's a lot of gun stuff that happens all week, and I don't really pay attention to that on a weekly basis. Instead, we're trying to focus on the stuff that matters, the stuff that's most relevant for the Second Amendment. Not the debate, but for the effort to end the debate. I've been watching this stuff for a while. The people involved in this project have been watching this stuff for a while, and there's certainly people that are going to get rich and famous with the controversy, but there's also people out there that are attempting to end the controversy, and the way that I find that that's going to be the most helpful, most useful, most effective will be education and awareness, removing the ignorance of all those people that hate violence and are misdirected at gun ownership. And over the years, like anybody, I was frustrated with the situation. And after a number of years of watching people come and go, being frustrated, I started to pay more attention to the people that are accomplishing things to get things done. And that's what this show is for. We're going to be taking a look. I guess I'm looking at nothing here. Sorry. We are going to be taking a look at our blog, one of our blogs, the Substack blog. That's where essentially we post the description of this video, but it's a little easier. It's a nicer format over here. It's a little easier to read and look at. So we'll be taking a look at that. We do this every Friday, and these are projects and people that are getting work done, that are being effective, and then a little bit of commentary. And some weeks it's more heavy, some weeks it's lighter, and this is one of the lighter weeks for sure. Not as much stuff happened this week. I don't know if it's because of the heat or because of the political cycles or what. We have certainly some important news. It's not a lot of news, but there's some important stuff. Nothing that's breaking news or anything, but cutting edge or breaking or anything. But let's dig in. We'll say thanks to the people that are joining us live. A bunch of people coming over from Giffords' show, I'm assuming. We do this show live on Friday nights, in the middle of the night, for a number of reasons. So we do appreciate the people that join us live. I've been doing YouTube live since 2010, so I guess 14 years now. This is a different environment than a regular podcast or just recording a podcast in a booth, which I wouldn't have that cricket. Can you hear that cricket? That cricket's driving me nuts. We got a cricket inside the house, and I have no way to get to him. He's behind a bunch of crap, so he's figured out a way to hide. So until I can step on him, he's gonna be making noises over there. So anyway, we go live on overnight, and we do appreciate the people that are joining us. So Woods is joining us, first one here. Chris from 740, welcome. Thanks for jumping in. We got Hillbilly Up also joining us. Defense Dad, welcome. But Woods is saying he's definitely been around long enough to see the cycles. They're frustrating, and just being frustrated at them doesn't do anybody any good, right? So how do we, stop the cycles? Yeah, lots of ways to do that. So let's talk about some of the stuff that happened this week. Defense Dad saying probably going to fall asleep. Figured I'd say hi. Welcome. Thanks for jumping in. So we'll see. I don't try to do a bunch of stuff to be entertaining necessarily. But I'm also not sponsored by anybody, and I don't strive to do that. So I don't feel like... Oh, I didn't even realize I had my one fan on. It's just starting to make noise. I guess we're going to play a commercial. I got to go turn off this one fan that's about to break. I didn't even know it was on. So it's been running for hours, all during Gizzard show at least, running, not making any noise. So that was awesome. No wonder it's nice in here. So, yeah, it's actually under 90 degrees in here. So I'm going to go turn off that fan, which sucks, but at least it's been going. I'm trying to find one of these things to play, which are long. So I'm going to go with this one. Thanks, Foss, for making this for us. So I can take a quick break.
Sir, why are you in Barry's fishing net? He ran right into it.
Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty apes.
First off, that is incredibly rude. You ran straight into Barry's fishing net. It's ruined. How is Barry gonna fish now?
I'm just trying to find some patches and some stickers.
Well, all you have to do is go to gearwebsites.com and you can find 2A-related stickers and patches. And even if you need web consulting, technology consulting, 3D printing, anything like that, gearwebsites.com. Now, please get out of the net.
I'm sorry.
Jerk.
Can you hear the cricket? Now we get back to the show. All right, so thanks again to Foss for making those commercials for us. If you want to grab something from our store, maybe you're a capitalist. Maybe you understand that I'm not independently wealthy by any means, and that taking some time to do this show and get prepared for this show, it takes effort and takes a little bit of my time. So if you're interested in being a capitalist, helping me out with that, buying something cool from a store, getting something in return, then here's the link. If you understand all that and you want to be subscribed to the show, be part of the show, then head over to Patreon. And I'm going to put links up here, but let me throw a link up here. Check it out. It's essentially our blog, and well, we have definitely appreciated our Patreons more than most people who take them for granted. They've literally let me keep the house and keep doing what we're doing here. So much appreciation for the folks who are capitalists and have kept us going. So anyway, we'll keep going here. We don't have a lot of commercials, and I guess I was saying that because I'm not beholden to a bunch of commercials and shit, I can say what I want. I'm not trying to be controversial, but I'm also old, and I'm not trying to be every manufacturer's best friend. So when people stand around doing nothing, or not just manufacturers, I got no grudge against manufacturers. I'm mostly, I guess I'm talking about some of the three-letter organizations that people love to throw money at, thinking, hey, they're not the NRA, they must be amazing, so let's throw money at them, and then let's just go back to not giving a shit. And then what happens in Massachusetts, Washington, Oregon, California to some extent, is somebody else's problem. Well, fuck that. We need to end that shit already. So, like I say, I'm not as scared to say some of the stuff that the other channels are scared to say, like literally won't say because they know it's not good for their ratings and shit. Let's get into it. So Patreon is, like I just said, where you can join us if you're a capitalist and you understand that I can't just do this for free. And I'm not trying to make a fortune here. I'm just trying to cut some time. I could literally be doing things that make me money right now. And I don't, because I have Patreons. So I appreciate it. But I'm not making money right now. I'm literally just not losing money. So if you want to be part of the Patreon thing, I'm not going to say that there's a bunch of extra shit over there. It's not the way I run it. But if you're a capitalist and you understand how it works and you want to throw lots of ammo at me or a cup of coffee, much appreciated. And like I say, that's not just talking shit. Those folks, those 93 people at this point. No, excuse me, 88 people. It's getting really low over there. Those 88 folks have literally made it possible for not just all the stuff to stay online, but for me to keep my fucking house. So Patreon is legit. A lot of people hate Patreon because, oh, blah, 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 I broke the rules and they don't like me anymore. Patreon's awesome. You can also be a channel member. They take 30% or something from YouTube channel members, but if you like paying YouTube to keep all this stuff running, I hear that. I'm capitalist. YouTube is not in the, doing this to lose money. They don't need the money though. So I appreciate the people that use Patreon. Plus we can keep in touch a little more close on Patreon than I can with YouTube. Otherwise, we got the Substack. That's what we're looking at right now. Thanks to Sharon, who told me about this a while back. We actually have a subscriber over here. Somebody asked to be a subscriber, so I turned that feature on. I don't know why you do it because I've only got one, but if you want to subscribe over here, feel free. Thanks. I mean, pay for the subscription, I should say. It's normally just a free thing. There's quite a few. I don't know how to look for them. There's quite a few places on Substack that I follow. Open Source Defense is a good one. 28 Cops used to be a good one. Get a Grip is one of the guys from San Diego Gun Owners. So this is a pretty good blog system. They're gun friendly. So Substack is pretty neat. If you want to check it out, that's that link. Instagram sucks at this point. Let's be honest, the reason I use it is because it used to be cool. And we used to have a lot of fun on Instagram, but it's pretty junky. Here's a link to it, though, if you want to go check it out. It's, I follow stuff on Instagram, but it's not what it used to be. And then Podbean is where we've been putting all the podcasts. So most of the people that are listening to this are listening to it as a podcast, and you're probably, most people don't listen to it on Podbean. It's just that you pay, I forget what it is. You pay some money to Podbean, and again, thanks to the Patreons that make it possible for me to even think about that. And then they put all of them, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon, they put all the different things into one spot so I can keep track of the numbers. So I really do appreciate that. That's pretty cool. So thanks to the people that listen on the podcast, and I'll ask that whenever you, once in a while, whenever you think about it, go into the system that you're using and give us a thumbs up, give us a comment. It's much appreciated, but that's literally the most effective thing you could do for any project out there. So not just our channel, but take a little while. Maybe you're on a bus or sitting in traffic or a passenger in a vehicle or something, and you're looking for something to do. Go to wherever it is you find your podcast and look around and put some positive feedback on the podcast that you listen to, that you value. It really is about the best thing you can do that's free, like to just take some time. So we really appreciate the people that do that. We don't get a lot of people doing it, so we really appreciate the people that do it. So that's the places you can be listening to this. And again, our goal is to take all of this information and put it out on all those podcast platforms. Instagram doesn't give us enough room to do it, but the Substack certainly does. The newsletter and the Patreon let us push this all out. We have a bunch of socials that I don't bother to link to here, and most of those let us put most of this information out every week. What are you eating? Quit it. Co-host is being bad. I don't have a place for the co-host to live anymore, so he never joins the show, but it's getting cooler. He might actually jump up and be part of the show one week. All right, we're going to get into the 2A news of the week. There's not much this week. Then we're going to get into the Second Amendment focus stuff. There's very little of that this week. Then we'll talk about the gun stuff. There's more of that this week for whatever reason. Nobody gives a shit right now. And then we got the Second Amendment radio shows. We got gun calendars, depending on how lively the conversation is tonight and how fast it goes. And then we got the military. Oh, man, I didn't put any of the military interviews in here. So we got the military interviews. And I've included some of the polls from YouTube this week just because I didn't do anything else this week today. So let's see. Because normally at the end of the show, we talk about whatever projects I've been working on. And I've been trying to kill bills. So I have not been working on very many projects right now. Let's see. So we're talking about Second Amendment news of the week. And again, this isn't a lecture or a scripted show. So feel free if you're watching right now live. And a lot of people are. We're back on the X. Thanks to our Patreons. We're now paying the richest guy on the planet to be able to stream live to his platform, which is lame. So $86 or something for the year. It's not the most money in the world. It's actually pretty cheap compared to some of the other things. Most stuff is like $25 a month, but it still rubs me the wrong way that I gotta, because I didn't have to up until like a week ago, 2 weeks ago or whatever. Anyway, thanks for the Patreons. Thanks to the Patreons, we're back over on the X. If you're over listening on the X and you know who you are, feel free to comment. You're allowed to comment. You can be part of the show, just like Hillbilly and Chris. Boom, they're part of the show. If you said something, I could put it on the screen. That's how it works. I don't know if anybody who goes live on X bothers to tell people on X that, but you're more than welcome to be part of the show. Anyway, here we go. So Everytown has pledged $45 million for the presidential elections, and Giffords announced it's going to include $15 million for the elections. So that's $60 million from these two organizations. It's been a while since I went to Minuteman and talked about the Minuteman University project, but this started in 2015, and throughout the years of gun channels, this has been like a collaborative accumulation of all of the different topics that are kind of relevant or necessary in order to, have a really an inclusive conversation, like, a conversation that actually hits everything. So if we get into the activists, we get into prohibitionists and the anti-rights groups. So there's all kinds of things that we could talk about, but this is like my notes from a little bit of research, but we've got handgun control. Let's see, it started in 1974, according to this. Well, according to whatever I first started doing. I can't remember when I posted this. I probably should put dates on these things. But this research starts in 1974. It obviously, there's been anti-gun people since before that. But, let's say it started with the National Council to Control Handguns, which became Handgun Control, Inc. See, then that became Brady Campaign. And then that became Everytown. And first it was the mayors or something. And then, oh man, is that cricket like right over here now? You gotta be hearing that. He feels like he's right underneath me. Come on out, cricket. Let's have fun. Let's play a little game. Let's get stepped on. Come over here. Ugh, I feel like there are already 3 of them. Like I said, I haven't really done very good research on this, but I think this has some usefulness to go in and turn this into a visual, what do you call that thing, like an infographic. And essentially, it's all money is coming from one guy. And I don't remember where Giffords come in. We all know, well, at least in Tucson, we know what happened with her. And when she happened or became an entity on the scene, but who's funding her is a question mark. Is it all coming back to this guy? We now know that with the 2022 Republican-backed gun control, Safer Communities Act, what they called it, that Bloomberg is getting paid back. So it was just another leg of the tentacle or whatever, tentacle of the octopus, in order to give them another, angle and then another route to get paid from. I suspect it is, but like I said, I haven't had the time to do all that. But we know that in 2024, that $60 million has been pledged. So, and that's through these organizations. How much is the dude himself going to pledge? I don't know how old he is or how rich he is now. Let's put in how rich is Bloomberg. What the hell happened? Let's see. Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Oh, isn't that interesting? They don't put them in here. They don't have Bloomberg in here. That's weird. Put him into here, and he served as mayor. Oh, there's one right here somewhere. All right, I don't know if we're going to get a thing. Maybe somebody wants to look it up. But I think the last time we looked it up, he was either 20th or 14th richest person. But I don't see him on this list. through the sort here. Yeah, he's not even on the list, so that's a fake list that he doesn't even put himself on. Anyhow, so who knows where that guy is or where this money's coming from, but then he'll also put some amount of money on there. And then that'll be the whatever that percent of the campaigns funds are, then that's how much effort they're going to put into gun control, I would assume. Man, it sounds like he's just sitting right over here. Then it says silencers helping us save hearing. The SHUSH Act, a bill to eliminate regulation on firearm suppressors. I think they said, I didn't write down all the information this week, so I think they said Utah, or was it Idaho? One of those states with 4 letters in it from out west. Some senators putting in the SHUSH Act. This one sounds stupid. So we used to have the Hearing Protection Act back in 2018, and I think that one was probably the best. Can you hear that, Cricket? It's hard to say with any of the uber rich. They won't really say how rich they are. Yeah, well, but the thing is they also brag about it, and they try to compete with each other. Now that he's no chance of being the richest person anymore because he sucks so bad, he's such a loser, that he may just be scared to even try. But yeah, you're right. Like, if they don't want to, they can just hide all their money in a bunch of places because they got money to pay lawyers to do all that. Lawyers and bankers. Oh my goodness. So next, this SHUSH Act is garbage. At least it sounds stupid. When we could be back in something like the Hearing Protection Act, which made sense. It described it correctly, and it actually described it in a way that people could understand why we would be back in favor of it. A SHUSH Act sounds stupid. It just sounds stupid to say. It's gimmicky, and it doesn't really say anything. I wouldn't want to say that out as much as I have to. It just sounds like he's right here. Are you in the fan? Let's see. So the next one is Massachusetts. Can't even start to say how frustrating Massachusetts is. Right, everybody, but how many states is it going to happen right in front of everybody? Question mark. That's the end of that question right there. How many states is this going to happen to right in front of everybody? We complain about the NRA. Guess what? The NRA is gone. The NRA is not effective anymore. Nobody pays any money to the NRA. Everybody hates the NRA. Blah, blah, blah. The NRA, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? What are you going to do now? Massachusetts just got clobbered on. I've been seeing stuff. I didn't include it this week because I don't need to just create controversy for the sake of it. But I've seen a couple of articles on the X suggesting that FPC doesn't do shit, that they're just a money-making entity. I already know that there's one that I've talked about millions of times that's just a money-making entity. And what do we got left? Gun Owners America? What's happening in Massachusetts with Gun Owners America? I'll leave it at that. Where is Second Amendment Foundation in Massachusetts? I'll leave it at that. So we got these 3-letter organizations. We like to throw money at them. We like to suggest that they're not the NRA so that we win. Well, where the fuck are they? What the fuck is happening in Massachusetts? And who's not talking? Why isn't anybody talking about it? Just because we're getting a black eye? I've tried doing the sister states thing. That's the only thing I could have thought of that I think might work, is to not let these states drown alone. I know that if someone from Massachusetts was drowning in front of me, I wouldn't ask what state they're from before I throw them a fucking life preserver or jumped in the fucking water to grab them and swim back to the raft or whatever. Again, how often are we going to watch states fall in front of us and watch and just do it as spectators? It's ridiculous. We can expect more. We should expect more. And just saying that the NRA didn't do it is not an answer. That's default lazy bullshit. So Massachusetts, like say, you have to just go watch Cape Gun Works. There might be somebody else talking about it. NAGA talked about it a little bit. Of course, Sisters in Arms talks about it. But anybody large talking about Massachusetts? How come this isn't on everybody's uh, radar, right? Where's the big lawyer channels that tell us, I'm sick of the lawyer channels. I'm going to quit including them, at least the big lawyer channels that are just trying to get views with their big Supreme Court case today. What the hell kind of title is that? If you're trying to be useful on the internet, title the video with what it is. Like, let us index these things, figure out what we're looking at, help the population keep track of what's going on, and not just suggest that imply that we're spectators just watching something happen. Let people be involved, So Massachusetts, devastating. It's happening right in front of us. It happened in Washington. I didn't get mad enough. It happened in Oregon, and nobody even gave a shit. And when it happened in Nevada, nobody gave a shit. Happened in Colorado. How many people gave a shit? Well, it's hard to get mad at Colorado, or hard to give a shit about Colorado when they got the third largest fundraising organization in their state, and that didn't help them for shit, and they didn't do shit. And you now have one of the ones, the adjacent, you have some shifting over there. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to it, but you've got shifting happening in Colorado. And again, where is it preventing anything? Look at how much money is going into Colorado. Next, 1,905 Virginians took advantage of a $300 tax credit designed to help offset the cost of life-saving gun storage devices like gun safes, gun locks, and more during the tax year 2023. So I guess somebody did a report in NSS. This is all from NSSF. NSSF talked about it, but 1,900, about 2,000 people in Virginia took a $300 tax credit. So I'm okay with tax credits, I guess, because nobody's paying. You're not taking money from the government. You're just not paying money to the government. You're taking advantage of opportunity that the stupid tax system has given you. So I don't know if you do the math. Is it possible to do the math on that? 2,000 times 300, whatever that number might be, is how many dollars of taxes the state didn't get. So that's cool. And if it helps people buy gun storage boxes, I guess, good. Like, people like those. So, I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that's something that should be championed. Something that, when the NSSF will say, remember to lock your big gun. Well, fuck you. How about 2,000 people in Virginia already did take proactive effort on that? How about now NSSF doesn't nag people to do that, but instead congratulates and shines light on the fact that 2,000 people in Virginia saved money doing it. So that's good to hear. And it is from NSSF, but we'll see if they actually champion this aspect of this. Phantom is saying those clickbait titles are annoying for sure. I know it's for clicks from the average users, for sure. And that's why I'm not happy they're there. I wish we had a better lineup, honestly. If we had to do a fantasy draft or whatever the sports thing is called, I would not pick the people we've got in the positions we've got. And that's the parts that are frustrating. But it is, at least we have them, right? At least they're making enough money. They're getting enough fame to stay doing it. And it's better to have them there for sure than not. But I wish we had different people with different goals and ambitions. And then I'm not going to be able to do this one justice because it's a massive clusterfuck of lameness. New Jersey's gun ban on modern sporting rifles exists. People are acting like it's gone. They changed the definitions. Actually, Tony will be on tomorrow, so we'll probably chat about it tomorrow. And I'll get it from Tony, what's happening over there. But another waste of time having to listen to weed through a bunch of clickbait titles, listen to a bunch of 20-minute long, or probably at least over 8-minute long so that the algorithm works, videos blabbing about their perspective on if this is a win for New Jersey. So is it really like, hey, we need to have another clickbait title that says assault weapons ban ends or challenged, or do we want to have a clickbait title that says we lost the assault weapons ban? So I'm not going to comment more than we can do better. We can expect better and we can do better. So then we'll get into the Second Amendment talk. We've got Every Second Matters. It's about it started in 13, so it's an 11-year-old project. No, is that right? 13, yeah, 11-year-old project. Yeah, it's pretty neat. There's a couple of people that keep it going. It was a concept to keep people together during the times when we weren't at risk or about to lose everything, when everybody gets together when they're worried and people exploit us. We get together when we're worried by nature because we're not a bunch of worried people, right? We're people that are normal and we live normal lives. When we get abused or when we get attacked, we tend to get back to back with each other and then with other good people. And then we start to go, who are we shoulder to shoulder with here? Who are you? Who are you? And if we've gone through any battles, we get some, we get some brotherhood there. So Every Second Matters was forged from that, from the end of 2013, when Obama had said, I'm going to use executive actions to get rid of guns. And there was no formal fight or challenge to that. Instead, it was a bunch of small victories all over the place and a bunch of just resistance to that tyranny that accomplished great things in 2013. So at the end of the year, when we were all kind of sitting, a bunch of us were sitting around and going, how do we keep this like feeling in the air? This vibe is what the kids would call it. How do we keep that going? A bunch of people came together and we figured out, let's do something on the second of the month, all the time, every month. And then that way, even when we're not at risk, we'll still be thinking about, we won't be taking shit for granted. We'll be thinking about what we've accomplished and what we might have to do again. And we'll just stay in touch, just the same way that maybe the veterans of VFW Hall lets veterans get together. And then if, Red Dawn happened, all the veterans could get together and do something because they know who they are and they've met each other before. It's just that opportunity to be prepared. And there's no obligation. We ran it very much like a non-organized entity, and it's just an awareness campaign. So because of that, it's had its growths and its declines, and I think right now you've got about 4 people that pay attention to it on the whole planet, and it's gotten less than that before. So it's interesting to watch it. We've got a bunch of patches available. Every time I mention it, I'll get shit and hate because it's not a, people suggest that it's a marketing thing. So I don't even bother to say anything about them. But Every Second Matters, like I say, we do see some posts out there each month continually. And then every once in a while, someone will host a conversation or mention it in one of their live chats. At this point, it's more of a social experiment than an awareness campaign. Because like I say, 4 people, I don't think, create an awareness campaign. But as an example of, what a phenomenon or what a thing can happen on the web, there was a real brotherhood in 2013 of people that really understood the value of people getting together without being strictly or highly organized. And unfortunately, those people, I think, are all gone. I see Luke once in a while, or One Bad Marine, I guess, or whatever he's calling himself now. And every once in a while, you see somebody I get reminded of somebody who's been around that long. But I think most of those people got killed, died. They're old. They don't exist anymore, or they just got burned out because of whatever the thing was that wore them out. They got worn out. And nothing here, not even steel, not even concrete, not even diamond, is going to last forever. So why would human interaction be any tougher than all that? So Every Second Matters gives us a system, a framework to continue something. But will it? That's up to everybody out there. Foz and Ozzy do something every month. Yeah. Foz, Ozzy, Defense Dad, not Defense Dad, Artak and Daughters. I shouldn't say not Defense Dad. He's probably done stuff. Artak and Daughters, though, will almost always do something. And then you get to Instagram and you get a couple other people. Every once in a while, Kingpin, same person, Kingpin. I'm not supposed to say Dead Horse and Kingpin, same person. But yeah, very, very few people. But like I say, it's been down to, it was Dead Horse. It just won at one point. It was just Dead Horse. That was a long time ago. All right. Moving on to other Second Amendment stuff. We got Suicide Prevention Saturday, every Saturday afternoon. Brooke will go live and focus on mental health awareness and then suicide prevention. So I listen to a lot of these military interview podcasts, which are epic. Like I bring them up on this show because they're not just interesting as hell, but they're also very valuable to Second Amendment, either specifically or really close adjacent topics. And suicide prevention, mental health awareness I don't even think it's adjacent. It is part of the gun debate. It is part of the gun conversation at this point. And here's why. We know from understanding after 20 years something, global war on terror, we've had 3 generations go through the global war on terror. These are people from 2001 through just recently to technically till today, because ongoing issues. So depending on people's occupation and their experience, they may have dealt with traumatic brain injuries, or let's just pick traumatic brain injuries. But you can imagine there's a whole bunch of different things that can physically happen to a human in stressful or physically demanding occupation, like a military job would be, especially overseas during wartime. So no matter what the job was, it may have been physically demanding, it may have been psychologically demanding. We have an advocate from, I'm not going to say Rhode Island, I think it is Connecticut. I can't remember now, but we have a representative, an advocate who her job in the military was to literally be aware of every single deceased soldier coming back to the United States. And can you imagine having to just, number one, being involved with that many human beings that have passed away, but the number of ways that people that have passed away and the condition, and then the significance. So, being in the military and then dealing with that many military lives lost, and understanding that her role and the significance of that for the families and the units and their brothers and everything. It's just massive pressure psychologically, and like I can't even imagine. Think about that. And a lot of people think PTSD or PTS, it actually should be referred to as now. They think of PTS as physical, like, again, concussions from bombs going off, concussions from blowing doors open, concussions from falling out of airplanes or falling out of the back of the helicopters, concussions from training, which is 99% of it, honestly. And it's not just physical concussions. It can also be that traumatic experiences and just occupational necessities. And these are massively strong people that did some stuff, and they're dealing with, how to transition out of the military and out of these roles. And often the VA, it's tasked with doing a lot of stuff. So what can it do? And when we hear about suicide, where is that coming from? Just people got nothing else better to do and they commit suicide on a Sunday afternoon, or people going through massive amounts of physical or emotional stress and that haven't been given the correct resources or any opportunities to understand the situation that they're going through, and they make a desperate choice. So there's things like Walk the Talk America, which focus on the doctors and on the gun community and our awareness and stuff. But then there's people like Brooke. Well, there's actually only Brooke, but we should have more people like Brooke who are opening the doors to talk about the mental health, so that when we talk about things like stress and physical ailments, it's not different than when we talk about broken arms, or I've got my tooth pulled, or my eye has a fish hook in it or something. Like, we don't have a problem talking about some horrible pain or some surgery or some kind of issue, but we just don't know how. It has not been programmed into our culture to talk about mental health the same way. And that is either you sit there and watch bullshit happen because we can't talk about it, and you watch people die because we can't talk about it, or we change the fucking future by learning how to talk about it, right? So what Brooke does is the most important work that's being done for the Second Amendment each week. Everybody else is clickbaiting, is trying to get you to watch their fucking videos and subscribe to their bullshit. Brooke is normalizing the conversation about mental health and offering ways to have better conversations with ourselves and with the other side about these issues. And she's effectively doing stuff the entire time. So leading from the front. There's nobody else that's doing as much work. She deserves your attention for sure, your time if you have the ability to help share and support her channel for this effort. That's why it's the top of our list every week. This week, I guess Every Second Matters was technically on top, but you know what I mean. Let's see. We got nobody coming in from X yet. We still have a bunch of people watching over on X. Welcome. We're paying to be over there. We don't have to pay nothing to be on YouTube. In fact, if somebody super chats or something, I get paid to be on YouTube. I don't think X lets you super chat, but you are allowed to chat over there. So you feel free to be part of the show. So Sisters in Arms had a conversation with Nolan from MAGA in Massachusetts, talking about the bullshit that's happening in Massachusetts. Worth listening to. This is really the only television show, albeit a small television show, but still the only television show that I'm aware of that's happening on a regular basis focused on Second Amendment and gun-related stuff from the female point of view in Massachusetts and Connecticut. No. Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Sorry. Let's see. Then we have S2 Underground, worth listening to. I don't know if you're paying attention to or what you're paying attention to, but China has been flying bombers up by Alaska, and I'm sure the doom and gloomers are taking that all out of perspective. But if you want somebody to give you a pragmatic intelligence report on that situation or those types of situations, that's what S2 is all about. And I have no idea what the doom and gloomers or the fear core are going to be talking about, like how they're taking the Chinese flybys. But we should be aware of them, and we should understand the significance with a grain of salt, like with an actual understanding of the intel. So hopefully that was a good lead for you. But now we're getting into more stuff. So now we get into the gun talk side, and I put this up first because I don't know. I know that I ignored the cartels for a long time, but I feel justified because the cartels were the same for a long time. The cartels are not the same anymore. So I pay them a different level of attention. And there's very few, unfortunately, very few projects that are taking a look at this in any kind of significant way to not exploit, but to actually enlighten. And unfortunately, Borderland is the only one that I'm aware of that's doing it on the regular right now. I just hate their editing. So it's tough to watch, but it's worth watching. This one's about CJNGs, how they're different than the previous cartels. And again, I don't know what kind of doom core you're listening to or like fear core you're listening to, but unless they're actually paying attention to people who are, either down there or understand it, then you're just getting a version of it, I suspect. So like I say, I really don't know how to be scared about this, but the more I learn about it, the fewer easy answers there are there. I was just going to play this. I don't think Michael will get mad.
We'll finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
We're hearing a whole lot of lipping and lapping, slipping and slapping, jugging and jabbing. But you know what? I have one thing to say.
If you got something to say, say it to my face.
On behalf of the state of Texas, the Lone Star State, come and take it.
A lot of Kamala stuff going on for sure. Hey, puppy, why don't you go find that cricket and get rid of it? Hunt that cricket down. Let me see if I can give you an idea of how lazy this dog is being. Okay, if I bring this onto the screen, he's way down there. He's laying down on the floor way over there. monitoring what's going on, but not killing that cricket. That's for sure. Pretty lazy animal. Alright, so well, I probably should have done that because usually that kills my mic. We still got audio. We still got audio. All right, so let me push this back up. We had Tony's Gear and Gear Review podcast. It was on Tuesday. I don't really listen to a lot of gun and gear stuff, so this is the one I do listen to. It's happening right at the same time as Ghost, so I can kind of listen to both at the same time. She Fires was at the NAGA convention in Dallas. So looking forward to hearing about how that went. So she posted this thing about a Jamaica vacation last week. I was busy, so I think I was... What did I do? I think I started watching it, and then once I saw that it was not live, I jumped out and I didn't watch that one. Let's see, I missed most of this, but I'm assuming I know what they said. But both Charlie and Meet the Pressers hosted Eric Pratt from Gun Owners America talking about their SHOT show. Oh, I mean their NRA show. I mean their USCCA convention. I mean their goals or get together, meet and greet. That'll happen in, I don't know, sometime in a month, I guess. Or this month, maybe. Let's see. Then we get to Washington Gun Review. So some people I know watch this guy. I don't watch this guy. But like Krabby suggested I watch something Krabby was linking to something, so I watched it last week. And this guy got back on my feed. So this was talking about risk some insurance, and he's a lawyer and he kept saying insurance, which I thought was interesting. But I've definitely got opinions on this stuff, and I thought, well, I'm going to watch this and see if I can learn anything from it. And I'm just going to say I learned nothing from it, and this is why I say clickbait and just trying to get views. It's annoying. It wastes everybody's time. This was annoying, talking about wasting everybody's time. Hey, there's Ozzy. Welcome. So this video I posted a long time ago when I first got the little puppy around here, and he was just sitting there barking for no reason. So I had this video of him barking. Look, he's looking at the ground, he's barking, he's looking up in the air, and he's barking. He's just barking because he had nothing else to do. And I had a video of him, and it's 12 seconds long, and it's that dog barking. And he's just, whatever the noise is of him barking, that's the audio. They pulled my audio and said that somebody else owns the audio. And I couldn't do shit about it. So for as much as people love YouTube, YouTube's a big jerk. Because what the hell? How can somebody own my dog barking for 12 seconds and not give me a chance to say, what the hell? It's ridiculous. So they took this and they removed all monetization from it. So can you imagine how much money I was making on a 12-second video of my dog barking? Oh man, I was rich. I was almost not going to have to even work again. But now I have to start working again because YouTube took my 12 seconds of audio. Assholes. So next is Chris. Again, I don't watch too much of the gun and gear stuff, so I watch the stuff that's useful. So I watch Chris's show. He had people on from Steel Valley Casting talking about casting bullets, which is neat because I don't know. I don't think anybody's around from back in the days of like Chris or what was his name? Good Guy. Nobody here knows who I'm talking about when I say Good Guy. But that was just the last time I can think of casting. Casting is one of the, I guess it's in the reloading realm, but it's one of the topics that'll come around every once in a while. And then maybe it has something to do with the availability of ammo, or it has something to do with the number of people that are reloading or something, or maybe it's just random. But anyway, interesting to hear another conversation about casting bullets in 2024. And yeah, it's just interesting. I was doing stuff, so I wasn't like listening 100%, but I was kind of walking back and forth and doing stuff, and it was on, and I had it really loud so I could hear it outside and stuff. And some of the topics and the conversations and the points and stuff are I don't know, like maybe the 5th time I've heard them or something. And just interesting. I just think that's some of the neatest stuff about the way that we can do stuff nowadays. Back in the old days, there'd have been a book written about casting, and everyone would just read that book and shut up and do whatever the book said. And nowadays, things can evolve, and things can, what's that called when they recycle? I guess, things can be recycled. Things can, just be reiterated. I guess it's not really recycling because nobody's taking credit for it, but just getting the word out there about things. Anyway, so that was a good show. Then we've got Crump had KD on to talk about that was that lady that got shot. I forget where, but the cop shot her in her house. I didn't listen to this one. I got there for the end, but I figured I'd put it in there. I don't know if anybody listened to that one. Let's see. We had the mouse party on Wednesday. No bracket, but whatever. Still was a mouse party. I believe he's not going to do an overnight this week. And then we get to Bullets for Bucks. They did a pretty neat video here. Let's not get copyrighted. He went up to Alaska to go on a hunt and fishing trip. And obviously he's got a drone. So wish I had it. Oh, come on, man. My internet's crapping out. So I wish I had a drone. Because then I could do all kinds of cool stuff like this. I wouldn't be going grizzly bear hunting. I would be going to gun shops and stuff. But that'd be my idea. Ideally, it would be cool to be able to document a drive looking at a bunch of different gun shops. But anyway, this is a pretty good video. Super good editing and pretty interesting. They go hunting. Well, they first go traveling, which is half the fun, is getting to places. They get up 5 miles away from wherever so that they can go hunting. And then take a boat and stuff. And then he does a bunch of gear reviews while he's up there. Then they do the hunt. And then after the hunt, they come back and do a bunch of fishing. So pretty worthwhile watching that one. Pretty good video. Let's see. Southern Arizona. Or no, small game hunts in Arizona. Game and Fish here in Arizona had, I don't know, they put out stuff occasionally. Man, it feels like that guy's right underneath me. Otherwise, why would he stop every time I drop something? They used to do the TV shows. Now they put these things out on I'm going to say a semi-regular basis, like on a regular basis, but occasionally they'll post a bunch of stuff and then they don't post for a long time. Go get that little cricket. And this one is about small game hunts. So it's okay. They don't really talk about everything, but they talk about a lot of bird stuff. And pretty interesting info because I think it's like 10 minutes long. It's 20 minutes long. A lot of info about the people and where they come from to small game hunt here in Arizona. So I don't know who all out there is hunting, period. But I don't know if anybody goes on vacation to small game hunt. But evidently people do come to Arizona for that. But they're also counting dove and quail as small game hunting. Let's see. So now we get to the radio shows. Of course, Cape Gun Works in Massachusetts is dealing with the stuff that's happening in Massachusetts. So Toby's been live quite a bit to answer questions and to offer updates and to, in this case, pre-record his show for Sunday. They've been super busy at the gun shop, from what I can understand, and trying to figure out how to combat or to challenge the crazy amount of gun control that's coming down. It's going to make Massachusetts the craziest state of all states for gun control. And it's already been signed. It's happening. So what they're trying to do is figure out the legal way to have a stop, whatever it's called, like a stop action on it so that it can't take effect until it gets voted on by actual people instead of just a representative. Massachusetts representative meets every 72 hours. So they have a full-time legislature, and they feel obligated to make laws constantly. So every 72 hours, they're mandated to meet every 72 hours. That seems like something they should consider changing. It seems ridiculous. Can you imagine paying to have your representatives gather every 72 hours? What do they think is happening in Massachusetts that every 3 days they have to get together? I blew my mind that that's an actual thing. Anyhow, so then we get to Gun Owners America, or not Gun Owners America. We get to what is it? San Diego gun owners and their gun radio. Oh my goodness. Gun Owners Radio. There we go. I don't know why our organizations insist on similarly naming themselves. Like, why would they call it Gun Owners Radio when there's Gun Owners of America and there's Gun Owners of California? They're San Diego gun owners. Okay, fine. But why would you even name the organization that when there's so many similars? But whatever. They're a good organization. I've said it. They're probably one of the best local level organizations out there, doing the most, being the most effective, and in a place that's most useful. Because there's some awesome stuff being done. There used to be some awesome stuff being done in like Arizona, but we weren't at risk back then. Like, we were doing awesome stuff in a good place, but like we were doing a lot of preventative stuff and like cutting edge stuff. Gun owners, Southern San Diego gun owners is being effective at changing the Overton window in a place where it's constantly being pushed against us. Anyhow, they do a show every week for a couple hours on Sunday. It usually starts in the middle of She Fire's show, so you have to listen to both, and then ends after. They have often issues. I think this one might be gun owners. No, this was a full show. So this was a good one. Sometimes they have some issues from the recordings. All right, nobody's saying anything, but I think I'm going to jump over to gun calendars anyway. I've been doing quicker shows the last couple of weeks, and I don't remember when's the last time I looked. So when we post these, today's the 2nd, so every second matters, but this probably won't go up until the podcast till like the 9th or the 16th. I forget if I'm a week or two behind. And that just has to do with, just the way things shifted or whatever. When it takes a minute, I can't post this to a podcast immediately, so I have to wait a few days anyway. And if I do that, it just ends up being, anyway, everything got shifted. So I'm not sure when someone's going to be listening to this as a podcast. And then obviously if they listen to it anytime in the future, then you're listening to history anyway. But over on guncalendars.com, we have, thanks again to our Patreons that have given us the time over the years to work on this. We have this calendar. It's just a calendar. It's not like anything you have to buy. You just go there and look at it. It gives you information, stuff that's useful, stuff that's not informational, stuff that you may not want to try to keep in your head all the time. Like, no one needs to know most of this information, but it's fun. It's something for the water cooler. Maybe if you're at the gun shop or at the shooting range, it's something to talk about between, ceasefires or something. So, and it's just available anytime you want it. It's at guncalendars.com. There's no ads or anything. Thanks again to Patreons. That's really the only ad down at the very bottom. We say thank you to our Patreons. Excuse me. So today is the anniversary of the passing of Wild Bill Hickok. It's also the anniversary of the Battle of Athens. So Battle of Athens, Tennessee in 1946 is the only time. Is it the only time? I think it's the only time where arms were picked up to challenge a ballot. And a bunch of tyrants in Tennessee were essentially taking the ballots. They said, okay, we'll count the ballots and we'll tell you who won. And they were the ones trying to steal the election. So a bunch of veterans went to if I remember this right, a bunch of veterans went to the armory, grabbed a bunch of guns, and went to the city hall or wherever and said, give us those ballots back. You're not going to count them inside by yourselves. And nobody talks about it. Worked out pretty well, though. So then we've got the Coast Guard birthday is tomorrow. Sunday the 4th. So Coast Guard, often overlooked, probably doing some of the most dangerous shit out there constantly for people that are idiots or greedy. So people like doing stuff for the people who are the least the dumbest people, the people that got themselves into the problem in the first place. Most of the time. Every once in a while somebody falls out of a boat, I guess, but for the most part, I bet you most of the rescues they're doing are people that could have avoided it in the first place. And then they're also pretty much mocked by everybody else for some reason, even though, again, they're probably some of the strongest boaters and swimmers out there. I don't know anybody in the Coast Guard. I knew a couple of people who've been in the Coast Guard, but nobody in my family's been in the Coast Guard. But Anyway, happy birthday to the Coast Guard. 1790 is when we first started a Coast Guard. And on Sunday, it is also the anniversary of the passing of Dragunov. So, you know what the Dragunov is? That kind of gun. That guy died back in 1991. We had Operation Octane. Oh, wait, is this still happening? I wonder if this is still happening. I think this got put off. Yeah, this got put off. So they were going to have something called Operation Octane in Utah on Monday, which was a car and gun thing put together, but it got canceled. On Tuesday the 6th, North Carolina, it's the anniversary of North Carolina decriminalizing hunting with a suppressor. So most of the states had some kind of dumb law that said you can't hunt with a suppressor because they were afraid of poachers or something. So the American Suppressor Association's done all kinds of work to remove those laws. So what we try to do is for the 19 states that they've affected change, we've put up these anniversary dates so that people can realize that in North Carolina up until 2015, you couldn't hunt with a suppressor. And now for the last however many years that's been, almost 18 years or something, then people have been able, and that's precedent. No one is poaching. Nobody's, there's still deer, there's still critters there, and now people aren't losing their hearing. We have the Order of the Purple Heart, created on this August 7th. Let's see. This can't be right. Order of the Purple Heart, created by George Washington. Yeah. The holiday was first observed in 2014. I didn't know that. I thought the holiday was older than that. But that's what it says on here, and it must be right. So then we have the anniversary on the 8th of August of Smith & Wesson patenting the metal bullet cartridge, the 22 short, the first and best caliber ever, in 1854. So that's the way I think of whenever I hear something happened, like, I don't know, somebody invented something or something went around the world or some kind of boat happened or whatever. If it's 1850, I think of that's when revolvers started, because 1854, the metal cartridge is involved. I think like 1856, they put the bore through cylinder and make it into a revolver. So I always think of 1850 is when revolvers happened. Everything before that was cap and ball revolvers. Everything after that is kind of modern. I'm going to call it gun ownership, what would it be? What does he call it? Gun culture. Yeah, gun culture. I would say gun culture, or I would say the invention of the bored through cylinder cartridge fired revolver was essentially the AK-47 of the day. It was it was like a pocket AK-47 because it allowed you to quickly change cylinders or change ammo in your gun. It would have been a massive change in culture, and it would have allowed guns to be a lot smaller, so more people would have them. They'd be a lot simpler to use, so a lot more people would have them. You didn't have to have a cap and ball revolver anymore. Like, that's amazing. So that has to be gun culture 3.0, because you'd probably say just having a gun or not in the beginning was gun culture 1, and then making it where cap and ball revolvers were practical, like after the Civil War, is probably gun culture 2. So bored through cylinder revolvers, gun culture 3. And then you get to like 1911, 1905, Browning invents the pistols, and then you get into gun culture 4, and then you get into maybe Glock and maybe World War II, so maybe gun owner 5, gun culture 5 and 6. I think we're just figured out that we're probably at gun culture 8, not gun culture 2.0. Just telling you. Just anytime professor wants to sit down and chat about that, I think we're probably at like gun culture 8. Anyway, Smith & Wesson, 1854. Then we have James Lee Paris. Who knows what that guy did? He was born August 9th, 1831. And what did he do? He is Lee, so he's the Lee, or what is it called? The Lee Enfield. He's the Lee part of that. So he invented a gun when he was 12, and he invented the action and magazine used in the Lee Enfield. So England loves that guy. Now, on August 10th, next Saturday, is the anniversary of the release of the movie 1984, or Red Dawn, back in 1984. So that's Red Dawn Day, and that's a day that you traditionally call the family together and bring multiple families together, much like a Thanksgiving or a Christmas time. And you traditionally watch Red Dawn together as a family. And everyone remembers and acknowledges the best movie ever made, Red Dawn. If you want to drive to Dragon Man's and then head down and go to where Red Dawn came from, do it. That's a great family tradition to go to Dragon Man's the weekend before, drive down and hang out and experience Red Dawn in Las Vegas, New Mexico. That would be perfection. All right, well, so then there's nothing going on for a couple of days. Annie Oakley is born on August 13th. Back in what year? What year was Annie Oakley born? That's right, 1860. She was born after the invention of the revolver. Did you know that Annie Oakley is younger than the revolver? Well, the bore two-cylinder modern revolver. Bannerman's Island Castle warehouse burns down in 1969. That happens this month. Navajo Code Talkers Day is August 14th. So I think they just call it Code Talkers Day because there was both the Navajo or maybe there is two different Code Talkers Days, so maybe I should shut up. But the 14th is Navajo Code Talkers Day. You can go watch the movie. It would be a traditional thing to watch a movie and to maybe go to Window Rock, Arizona, where the statue is with their commemorating their service. Let's see, on the 15th, we have the Thompson submachine gun was patented back in 1922. By who? That's right, a guy named Thompson. There's a cartridge show coming up in Pennsylvania next weekend. No, in 2 weekends from now. You got National Airborne Day for everybody that's airborne. They know what that's all about. And then you've got Goals, looks like, is the 17th and 18th. It's longer than that, though. I think it's the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th because they're separating media from regular people. So with that, I think I'll quit talking about it. You can check out guncalendars.com, though, and get an idea of what's coming up. And if we're missing anything, let us know. I mean, this whole thing is a collaboration. Different research and get-togethers, live chats, and trivia contests and stuff. Like all this stuff is an accumulation of years worth of conversations and who invented this or where did that come from. Doing the firearms inventors deck, doing the AK-47 deck, the building of the certain different projects that we've worked on. I usually take that information and add it to the share it on all these different projects like this. And again, thanks to our Patreons down here at the bottom who make all this possible. They give us the time to put to all this, and they literally pay for the servers. There's just, I think this software, I can't remember if I pay for it yearly or if it was like a one-time thing. But anytime you buy software in a one-time thing, it's going to expire at some point. I'll have to buy some other stuff. So if you want to check that out or use it in your live chats, if you got a dead time or a lull in your live chats and you're looking for something to talk about, go see what's going on in the history, this month or this day. I've only got one military interview show listed here, but I probably should have listed more. How can I find out the other ones? This one is a guy who was one of the guys that stood up MARSOC. So the Marines, essentially they're special operations, they're raiders. The descendants of Force Recon, so the descendants of Max Sog V from Vietnam. So every once in a while, the Marines are tough to begin with, right? Because they're Marines. But then every once in a while, Marines are tasked with doing something extra, like being raiders or being recon, Force Recon. So Force Recon is like, go sneak up there and see what's going on. Army has scouts and stuff that are recon. Sometimes scouts will like go find a landing pad for helicopters or something. but most of the time they're trying not to get killed. So it's a couple of them, and they're sneaking around. When Force Recon goes out, that's more like send out 12 Marines and kill whatever you find and tell us what happened. So it's a little bit different. So now MARSOC is that, I think. Anyway, this guy is talking about it. He's got a really interesting demeanor and lots of stories. And again, when you listen to different interviews, their experiences are always different, but the ways people have lived through it and come out of it the other end is all evident in their the conversations. And Combat Story always does a great job in illustrating that. So this is a 2-parter, and this is the second part of that 2-parter. But I'm going to go try to just go into my own YouTube, I guess. Problem is I look at all these things on another computer, so they don't show up in my history list, which is where I gathered all this stuff from usually. So it just makes it an extra step for me if I'm not paying attention when I set all this up. But I do want to mention some of these other... What the hell is Clover doing? He just posted all of his podcasts at the same time? Does he not know how the internet works? Oh, he's got a new channel. He's flooding us on a new channel. Thanks, Clover. You're flooding us right now. Let's see. I'm trying to find some of these other conversations. Like I say, that Ironclad was a good one, talking about the CJNFO or whatever they're called. The young cartel. Things are changing. There's new generations, and the old cartels had a different mindset about them. So they definitely acted, behaved in certain ways. Kind of like watching the old Scarface movies or one of those movies about the Italian mafia or something. Like, they probably all respected each other. Respected each other differently back in like the 1930s than they did in the 1970s with cocaine and all that shit. So it's sort of the same thing with these cartels. Like they don't love each other. They hate each other. They're constantly killing each other, and they're helping each other and killing each other at the same time. So keeping track of it all is kind of interesting. And because the rates of incidents have changed so much so quickly, keeping up with it is tough. So watching stuff like Ironclad or whatever it's called, that guy, he is it Ironclad? No, Borderland. Borderland is, like I said, very much the only thing. There used to be D. Moliere, but they haven't posted in like a year. Okay, here's the other one that I really wanted to chat about. And, oh man, I still got to scroll down. I'm just going to use this one to indicate it. So there's 2 more that were worth mentioning, and there's probably more because it was actually a pretty good week for this stuff.
Court in San Diego.
But this is Sean, who's a friend of Glenn Doherty, who's one of the people that died in Benghazi. And Mike Ritland, the guy that does the Mic Drop podcast, was a good friend with Glenn Doherty. This guy was Glenn Doherty's like one of his closest friends. So he created a company, and it's been a big part of the Mic Drop podcast for a long time. And they talk about Glenn, they talk about their life, and they talk about the reasons why they started the company, and then the company itself, and then just an awesome conversation. This is a 10-minute cut from it, but the conversation itself is like 4 hours. It's real, and it's definitely worth listening to. And then the other thing is, there's, like I say, there's more, but the only one I can find quickly is this one, Ironclad Change Agents. So Ironclad is a channel. Come on. Ironclad is a channel, and they do different shows on the channel. One of the shows is Change Agents. I just listened to this one today. When did it come out? 2 days ago? This guy is pretty good intel on what's going on with China and Taiwan. Really, really interesting. I don't agree with everything because I've heard different versions of his stuff about Berlin, but he talks a bit about Berlin and the Cold War, essentially. And his suggestion is that we're in a Cold War with China right now. And he makes some really, really, really good points, similarities with the Cold War with Cold War with Russia versus where we're at right now. All right, I just found the other one, though, that 4-hour version of the Mic Drop podcast, but then also there was Team House, and I'm trying to remember who Team House had on. Maybe I didn't listen to Team House this week. I think last week I was super busy. Almost. I'm scrolling through a bunch of stuff. And I'm not going to find it. What's going on? Did they not have one last week? They must have. No, I'm not finding it. So with that, I'm going to go back and see if anybody's saying anything. But yeah, these military podcasts that I post up here, sometimes they're just interesting. Sometimes it's just neat to hear somebody's war stories or their like perspective on healing or transitioning out of the military or maybe starting a business or something. Like kind of depends on who they're talking to and who the interviewer is. But I would say more often than not, but definitely on the regular, they're epic, just epic conversations. Yes, they're about military stuff. Yes, they're two military interview guys or two guys talking about something, but the stuff they're talking about, like the reality of it all, is useful for everybody. Let's see. The new generation is very reckless and violent. Dude, we were so reckless and violent. I can remember people in Elvis's day telling the kids were reckless and violent with their hot rods and their switchblades and their leather jackets. So yes, all generations better be reckless and violent. Otherwise, they're going to, I think we hear the other side too, that they're coddled and weak. So I'm cool if they're reckless and violent. Let's do it. I think we were all reckless and violent. You have to be when you're young. Otherwise, you're boring and slow and sleepy. But eventually, a bunch of people must be sleepy because nobody's saying anything. John Brown is out there. Welcome. Good to see you. And I guess you said hey earlier. I missed it. Phantom saying hey. Oh, the cartels. Yes. I thought you meant the new generation of people. I got this little puppy sitting right here, so I was thinking of the new generation of puppies that are violent and reckless. But yeah, crazy, right? And just according to what it's been sounding like, just depleting. They want to take over, so they don't mind like just strangling out whatever's there and then replacing it with their version. So it is interesting to see how long it's going to last with this kind of escalation in violence. Not just violence, but escalation in aggression in all sorts of ways. I mean, violence is the like intimidating factor, but even if it doesn't get to violence, like they're just doing so many things beyond what they've ever done before, and they've taken over so much of, I don't know if you call it infrastructure or just the stuff that's going on. But it's not the first time it's ever happened, and it's not the first challenge either country's ever dealt with. So we'll see as we go further what'll happen. Hopefully we'll get people in positions of authority that have creative ideas, or that bring people in who have creative ideas, and we see challenges to the status quo. I think that's all it usually takes. Right now they're living in what they're able to thrive. That's where I'm looking for. They're thriving because of the situation, the environment. And you change that environment and they no longer thrive. So that's really all it takes. It's not like we're doomed to this, and we don't have to deal with this. They only exist because they're able to exploit a couple of things, go above the law. That being said, that would be a whole nother conversation, I suppose. It'd be cool to see people have real conversations out there. There's been times on YouTube, since we kind of was thinking back of the old days when I was thinking about the Every Second Matter situation. There's been eras of YouTube where the discussions got deep and interesting, and then sometimes even experts would chime in. I value those, so hopefully we'll see more of that again, or a wave of those come back. Let's see. Next, we'll say a couple of the polls I've been putting up on the YouTube side just to keep YouTube interesting. I refuse to pander to the fear bullshit and participate in some of the obligatory or just bullshit issues that the fear core are worried about. But it is interesting to keep the back and forth nature of the internet going and keeping people thinking about things besides whatever you're told to think about. So I try to put up polls that aren't necessarily, whatever the topic of the day is. So I asked this one, and this one was, how often do you participate in firearms training or safety courses? And I don't know why. I'm a big fan of training. I'm a big fan of going to classes and stuff, but it seems like 99% of the people out there hate it. I don't know why they follow me, because I really, really like it. I'll call people out that are doing dumb, weird things, but not because it's dumb or weird, but because it's boring and they're not thinking, like they're just doing whatever they're told. Like, for example, I'm not going to go with the NRA. I'm going to go with this other doctrine. I'm like, okay, you don't like one doctrine because it's a doctrine, so you're going to just listen to the next doctrine that comes along. So that'll rage against. But there's all kinds of interesting stuff out there. There's lots of people that have all kinds of interesting or different kinds of experience, and they bring that to the table. So training is infinitely interesting to me. In fact, when we do the show Full Speed, we devote Thursdays to travel and training because I think it's that interesting and important. And I'd like to remove the connotation, because obviously training hurts somebody at some point. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so scared of it or hate it so much. So something hurt them with it. And if we can show people that not all training is going to hurt you, then maybe we'll get rid of some of that sour taste out there. But when I put it up, how often do you participate in training? Monthly was 17%. Quarterly is 12%. Annually, 27%, and never 44%, the overwhelming number, of course. So again, it depends on what you consider training, because some people might consider training like a CCW class or a gunsmithing class, or I don't know, maybe even how to do your YouTube channel better or something, because you're doing a gun tube or a channel on gun stuff. But other people are going to think of it as some sort of like, you got to pay $12,000 and show up on the other side of the country for 3 days and, aggressively jump all around or something. Next poll. Which historical firearm, I guess I shouldn't have ice in my mouth. Which historical firearm would you like to own or shoot? Most like to own or shoot? Either the Garand, the Enfield, the Lee Enfield, or the AK-47. And an overwhelming number of people said M1 Garand. How weird is that? And then so that was 48%. 8% said Lee Enfield. 33% said AK-47, and then 10% said something else. So that's 300 or 30 something people said something else, and then left a comment down below. So it's a fun way to get some interaction with the community out there, to give people a way to click on their YouTube instead of just, and then for 26 people at least, it gave them a chance to interact with the channel and say stuff, and then start a conversation. And then the last one we did for this week was what's your favorite firearms manufacturer? So we got Glock, Smith & Wesson, SIG or other, and Glock won it, of course. Just smeared it, the whole thing, just dominated it with 34%. Smith & Wesson came in with 28%, which was surprising. 16% to Sig Sauer, and I don't even know if that's the right way. Is that even the right SIG anymore? It might just be SIG at this point. And then other was 22%. So 30 people told us what their other is. And let's see, 22% of 250 would be like 50 people. So most of the people gave us their comment down there. But yep, an overwhelming, like a majority, just a massive number of people chose Glock. I'm surprised that Smith beat SIG, because I just hear SIG all the time. So I figured SIG would beat everything really. But it came in third. So it was an interesting one. I really didn't anticipate that. There's so many Glock haters out there. But most people, they might talk a lot of Glock hate, but it's because the people that hate the Glocks are the loudest. But evidently, the people that love the Glocks are the most, because that's what everybody voted for. That's gonna burn a lot of people when they hear that the Glocks won, because the Glocks are overwhelmingly better, more perfect, and more popular, and a better value, and more rugged and reliable and durable, and just overall better, especially the ones that aren't 9mm. And that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way because they invested so much money in their S brands. We'll call them the S brands, the Smiths, the Sigs, the Staccatos, the other brands that start with an S. So, like I say, we're not getting paid by any of them. We don't have to act like they're so good. We can just acknowledge that most people understand and realize and have voted for Glock winning that. I'm not even a Glock fan. I just like to see some of them other brands get exposed for their reality. All right, well, that's it. So with that, oh wait, Phantom is saying, I consider going out to the open range and practicing rucksacking and drills as training as well, even if it's not professionally guided. Sure. I mean, going hunting is kind of training. I mean, you're going out and you're getting experience with your stuff and you're doing stuff. And you're becoming, familiar. That's where I'm looking, familiarization with all your stuff. Ozzy's saying, I'm a SIG guy, but I have a new Smith on order. See, a lot of S's going on out there. I understand that you buy them because you like to build the holsters for them. So it's more of a labor of love. And, yeah, like I say, I figured SIG would win because I just always hear people talking about SIGs and all the SIG love. But I'm not a good barometer, I guess, because I don't pay attention enough. All right, well, with that, we're wrapping it up. We're going to get a bit of 90-minute show today. Thanks again to the people that listen on the podcast. That's the majority of people that listen to this show. If you would, when you're over, next time you're connecting with your podcast listening place of choice, maybe that's Apple iTunes or whatever it's called, or iHeartRadio or Stitcher. I don't even know what they all are. I think we're connected to like 10 of them or something. So whatever the thing is, leave us a comment, leave us a thumb up or a thumb down. Really, doesn't matter. Engagement is key over on these platforms. But that's the best way that you can say thanks, other than throwing us a couple of bucks. We want to thank our Patreons, the people who do throw us a couple of bucks each month. It's the beginning of the month, so everybody just got a hit on their wallet. We get the same because we support about 30 people over on Patreon ourselves. So we take $30 of that Patreon money and throw it right back into Patreon to 30 other people. And I shouldn't say that anymore because I think we did chop about 5 of them off for their people that quit Patreon or quit doing their channel, which is frustrating when we have to cancel for that reason. But again, thanks to the folks that are making it possible for us to be here. Yep. Thanks for being out there for live. That's definitely what I'm a big fan of. I would be filming this, at 3 p.m. With a script if I was just trying to do a professional, fancy podcast and compete with the news or something. But fuck the news. We're here to change the Overton window to normalize guns and to ideally do it in such a way that we learn how to kind of game the system is in the respect that, we're not going to be abused by it in the future and do it in a way that's also fun enough that we can hand it down to a next generation that doesn't necessarily have to do it the same way we did it, but understand what and why we did it and what we accomplished. And it's being done. So if when I'm able, I relay that stuff that I found that's getting that stuff accomplished. And like I say, we try to spread the word as much as possible and keep it out there so that it can be found. We'll throw a couple of commercials up here at the end. And if you want to throw a last comment in there while the commercials are happening, we might be able to flash them on the screen. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with Tony at 3 p.m. Pacific. No, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific for Ask Gun Questions.
This is Earl Benson, reporting from downtown Topeka, where Gizzard Gary is rampaging through the city. Authorities have asked the public to stay indoors. They believe he will tire soon and need a nap. Gizzard Gary can normally be seen on Foul Territory, Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Wednesday, 8 p.m. for the channel members chat. Stay safe and give him the bird. Earl Benson signing off.
I may have that still, the old one. Voss made me a new one, so it's the right times. But at the end of Gizzards' show, I put in the comments, anybody that put in hashtag Gizzard was in the running for a special giveaway tonight. But nobody's seen it, nobody commented, so no special giveaway. But check out other shows, especially shows like Gizzards' that support our show, because whenever we can, we'll try to tie the shows together like that. I guess I did forget to mention that we did have a quiz show. Didn't we have a quiz show earlier in the week? So thanks to everybody who participated in that. And ideally, we'll come back strong with the tactical quiz once everything kind of falls back together here. Thanks again to Voss for making those commercials for us.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
That's the little dude on his little stairs over here that he uses to climb up here. I got a box at the top right now, but he heard the commercial and he thought the show was starting.